I am the villainess in the story, but I latched onto the male lead's golden thigh early on. Upon learning that the female lead is about to return, I desperately tried to win the male lead's favor. In order not to lose a good job that pays $500,000 a month, I want to stay by the male lead's side a little longer. Every day I can hold on is a gain, every penny I can save is a win. But I never expected that this stay would last a lifetime. When Gu Fengzhou returned from his social engagement, I was already snoring loudly, hugging the quilt, but this beast in gentleman's clothing, well versed in the exploitative nature of capitalists, gave me no chance to slack off or be lazy. He directly pulled off my quilt and forcibly woke me up. Drowsily, I clung to him, mumbling and grumbling, just going through the motions. Gu Fengzhou complained about my lack of professionalism while working hard himself. I'm too tired. My back aches and my legs are cramping. You didn't complain about being tired after shopping at SKP for 6 hours straight. The man mischievously increased his force, biting my ear and whispering, "Why are you tired when it comes to me? Do you have a problem with me? How dare I? This one is my real boss." I quickly hugged the man on top of me, snuggling up to him with a soft, coquettish tone. "What nonsense are you talking? Come on, kiss me. I missed you so much I fell asleep." Gu Fengzhou smiled contentedly and kissed my lips. Diving headfirst into a new round of passion, to cling to the male lead's golden thigh, I've ended up sacrificing far too much. Actually, I am the villainess, and Gu Fengzhou is the male lead in the story. According to the plot, I am a gold digger who is greedy for wealth and obsessed with money. I am greedy for money, and he is lustful, a match made in heaven. So, I became his canary, as an excellent canary. I deeply understand the core principles of career development and uphold professional integrity. One can engage physically, but not emotionally. Thus, through my diligent work, I successfully became a senior technician with a monthly salary of $500,000. I am very satisfied. Although it's a period of career burnout, I still have to work hard to cling to the male lead's golden thigh. After all, the job market environment isn't great right now. Besides him, who else could make me willingly earn money while lying down? Boss Gu made all sorts of demands in bed, coming up with endless tricks, and it took a long time before he was finally satisfied. He held me in his arms with a look of satisfaction, his tone dripping with affectionate indulgence. "You're being so well behaved today." I couldn't stop thinking about the Hermes bag I had my eye on earlier in the day. After all, I've put in the effort, so I deserve to reap the rewards. I lay on top of him, one hand pulling out my phone while the other hand's index finger playfully tapped and teased his chest. "Darling, I really love this bag. If I carry it while accompanying you to the event, it'll definitely make you look so good, don't you think?" Gu Fengzhou smiled faintly without a word, took my phone, glanced at it, and then skillfully took a screenshot and sent it to his assistant, watching him handle everything with such ease. I couldn't help but think from the bottom of my heart, this man is really handsome. I was staring with starry eyes at the man's slender fingers as he typed on his phone, instructing his assistant to place an order, when a message suddenly popped up on his screen. "I'm back. My flight lands at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Fengzhou, I miss you so much. Can we meet?" For someone like Gu Fengzhou, a young, handsome, and wealthy CEO with an 8-pack, it was no surprise that admirers flocked to him endlessly. As a principled canary, I deeply understand the principle that blocking someone's path to wealth is like killing their parents. So in the past, when facing those women who offered themselves to Gu Fengzhou, I often turned a blind eye. After all, everyone is just seeking wealth. Harmony brings prosperity. After all, however, Boss Gu himself is very principled and often declines in his own tactful way. I had previously teased him for making a beauty sad, but Gu Fengzhou just sneered and said he was quite picky and currently only had a taste for me. He also claimed that since he had rejected so many beauties, I needed to compensate him with my body. So, in the end, I ended up bearing it all. But today's one is different. She is Mu Yayan. She is the female lead. After all, I suddenly felt a sense of crisis and unconsciously held the man beside me tighter. I stared intently at the screen, very curious about how Gu Fengzhou would reply. However, from a perspective I hadn't seen, the man curled a satisfied smile. According to the plot, Mu Yayan is Gu Fengzhou's secret crush, but she went abroad at the time when Gu Fengzhou loved her the most but hadn't had the chance to confess. This directly stacked all the buffs, elevating her to the status of the male lead's unattainable white moonlight. The plot vividly and delicately depicts the lethality of the white moonlight, although emotions during student days are subtle. I honestly haven't seen much of a spark of ambiguity. Even so, as the female lead, Mu Yayan effortlessly won Gu Fengzhou's admiration, favoritism, and devotion. As for me, Jiang Tang, the villainess, perfectly took on all the twists and turns that the main couple had to go through to be together. Yes, I am that one full of twists and turns. Later, the male and female leads cleared up their misunderstandings, and the true face of the malicious female supporting character was exposed. I was finally abandoned by the male lead and kicked out on a night of pouring rain. The malicious female supporting character, secretly suppressed by the male lead, couldn't find a job and had to sell her body to survive, only to be abused to death by a sadistic client. Although readers all say the villainess's ending is deeply satisfying, but as the villainess herself, I am truly terrified. So, with the plot being irreversible, I ended up becoming Gu Fengzhou's canary. But to avoid a life of poverty and having to sell myself for money, I desperately tried to squeeze every penny out of Gu Fengzhou. After all, emotions are intangible, while money is real. According to the plot, Mu Yayan's return marks the beginning of my misfortune. Although I can't bear to let go of Gu Fengzhou, this golden opportunity, although I've already made quite a bit of money off this man over the years. But when I think about the good job that allows me to earn 500,000 a month just by lying flat, and the good days with gifts like baby jewelry and high-end dresses that could disappear at any moment, I still feel unwilling to let it go. Perhaps, I cannot change the plot, but at the very least, I can delay the events in the story from happening, survive one day at a time, save one sum at a time. At least let me earn a few more 500,000 before I kick the bucket. I stared intently at Gu Fengzhou's phone, my mind racing as I wondered how he would reply. What countermeasures should I take? However, Gu Fengzhou did not reply to Mu Yayan's message. Instead, he turned off his phone, tossed it aside, and pinned me down, staring so intently at my phone. Are you trying to check up on me? Not only do I want to check on you, I'd love to personally arrange your studio. I hooked my arms around Gu Fengzhou's neck, looking at him with a seductive gaze. Darling, I love you so much. A mischievous smile curled at the corner of Gu Fengzhou's lips as his large hand slid down along my waist. It seems you're not tired enough yet, since you love me so much. Of course I have to satisfy you. Before I could even try to defend myself, I was silenced by a flurry of kisses. I was speechless. Is that what I meant? Seeming to notice my distraction, the man playfully bit my shoulder, leaving 2 curved tooth marks. His voice carried a doting complaint. Focus a little. I was speechless. Oh well, time to get to work. Let's get to work. When I woke up the next day, it was almost noon, and Gu Fengzhou was long gone by my side. I felt as if I had been run over by a truck, with my back and body aching all over. I could only silently curse the sugar daddy. What a beast. Complaints aside, curses aside, not a single penny of the money I need to earn can be missed, especially tonight. The female lead is about to return, to keep my good job. I must go all out to make my presence felt around Gu Fengzhou. As an expert at blowing up the kitchen, I decisively ordered takeout from a star-rated hotel, disguising it as my own masterpiece to curry favor with Boss Gu. I made my way unimpeded all the way to Gu Fengzhou's office. During this time, I received many looks of envy, jealousy, disdain, and disgust. I maintained a smile throughout, calm and composed, even elegantly brushing aside the hair by my ear. With the off-shoulder thin sweater revealing ambiguous marks on my shoulder, I just love it when people can't stand me but can't do anything about it. I called out in a sweet, delicate voice, Fengzhou, I've come to bring you a love-filled lunch. Gu Fengzhou is looking at the financial report. When he saw me come in, he only slightly lifted his eyelids. His voice was clear and crisp, yet carried the formality of the workplace. Have a seat for a moment, I'll finish reading this, okay? I obediently sat to the side, set the tableware, and then propped my chin on my hand. Staring at him blankly, I have to say, Gu Fengzhou is really handsome, especially when he's working hard and earning money. He's even more handsome. Gu Fengzhou remained serious and focused, as if he couldn't see my wolfish, eager gaze, until he suddenly let out a tisk sound. He finally stood up, casually tugging at his perfectly fitted tie, and in that moment of precision, a hint of flirtatious allure emerged. He strode toward me, pinched my chin, and kissed me fiercely. I was somewhat flustered by his sudden passion, pushing him away in a flurry, only to have my lips stained red and my eyes misty. The man curled a satisfied smile. You little temptress, stirring up chaos in the ranks. Humans, so weak-willed. You always have an excuse. Is it really that good? I replied blankly. It's good. As soon as I said it, I realized I had neglected my duty. I was actually seduced by the boss. Which totally goes against the professionalism of a canary. To turn the tables, I quickly flattered him by picking up the bowl. Honey, it's time to eat. Gu Feng tasted each of the dishes one by one and asked with a smile, did you make these? I admitted without batting an eye, yes, I did. How come I didn't know your cooking skills are exactly the same as the chef at Zhouji Hotel? Maybe it's because money talks. Gu Fengzhou smiled helplessly. What made you think of bringing me food today? Last night was tough for the sugar daddy. As a gentle, considerate, and sensible canary, of course I need to take good care of his health. Gu Fengzhou stared at me with an inscrutable look in his eyes. Are you questioning my stamina, or were you not satisfied with me last night? I was speechless. Is that what I meant? Whether it is or not, acting cute is the way to go. Oh, you're the best and the most amazing. I was so exhausted last night. My back was almost broken. You look so lively and energetic. I thought, dear brother, please have some pity on me. Gu Fengzhou casually picked up a lobster ball and put it into my bowl. All right, there's a cocktail party at the Crown tonight. Will you come with me? Tonight? What? Are you busy? Not at all. I'm definitely available. It's like a dream come true. What could be better than this? I joyfully made a promise, dear brother. Don't worry. I'll make sure to dress up beautifully and charm everyone. Stealing the show with my elegance. No need to steal the show. Just be appropriate, okay, boss. Hearing this, Gu Fengzhou slightly frowned, a trace of dissatisfaction flashing in his eyes. However, I quickly fawned over him by picking out fish and peeling shrimp for him, soon brushing off that faint sense of strangeness. At 7 p.m. that evening, I appeared at the Crown's cocktail party wearing a high-end custom gown. With exquisite makeup, and holding on to Gu Fengzhou's arm, it's worth noting that this was the exact time the female lead's flight was scheduled to land. The male lead didn't pick up the female lead at the airport, didn't meet her, and thus had no chance to rekindle their old flame and start tormenting me. Survived another day, absolutely perfect. However, my smugness lasted only a short hour before reality shattered it completely. Under the gaze of the crowd, the female lead, Mu Yayan, made a grand entrance wearing red-soled shoes and walking slowly on the red carpet, graceful and charming, full of allure. She is very beautiful. She possesses the dignified elegance cultivated by a wealthy family, along with the playful intellectuality of a young woman. Am I the only one curious? How does she manage to look so refined after a full day of flying? No wonder she's the female lead. Mu Yayan walked straight up to Gu Fengzhou, smiling gently and affectionately. Fengzhou. Long time no see, long time no see. I stood awkwardly between the two of them, my eyes darting back and forth, filled with a strong sense of unease. I remember you never used to like drinking. I didn't expect you to come to the cocktail party tonight. Mu Yayan's tone carried just the right amount of disappointment, tinged with a hint of reproach. After all, the male lead had stood her up during my student days. I naturally couldn't drink. As Gu Fengzhou finished speaking, I laughed at an inopportune moment. He looked at me with a helpless expression, and I quickly hugged his arm. Darling, I really like that bottle of Romani Conti brandy. I want it so much. Gu Fengzhou affectionately ruffled my hair. Wait for it. Then he left. I am very satisfied. Of course, I didn't ignore Mu Yayan's scrutinizing gaze. You are Jiang Tang. I didn't expect to be so well known that Miss Mu would remember me. Indeed, she's famous. A hostess who uses her looks to please men. I heard you went to great lengths to cozy up to Fengzhou. You women really will do anything for money. TSK. Mu Yayan's words were filled with blatant disdain and disgust, yet the hatred in her eyes made her appear less graceful and dignified, facing her malice. I always kept a smile on my face and did not let Mu Yayan's provocation affect my emotions. After all, everything in the past was just a means for me to make a living. A privileged young lady like her, who holds a high position, has no idea of the hardships and efforts that people at the bottom must endure just to survive. It seemed as though speaking with me was beneath her dignity, and she walked past me with her head held high. As she passed by me, she seemed to see something and suddenly stumbled backward. Instinctively, I tried to catch her, but who knew this woman was so strong? The momentum pulled me down with her. Is this the legendary, tripping on flat ground? However, seeing that she was about to hit a sharply angled glass ornament, I instinctively pushed her away, but the ornament ended up cutting my palm. In the blink of an eye, I instantly understood her actions and decisively took the initiative. Miss Mu, why are you humiliating me? I just want to stay by Feng Zhou's side. Hearing the familiar footsteps, I immediately put on a pitiful and stunning pose, with even the angle of the teardrop hanging at the corner of my eye just perfect. Feng Zhou, I don't know what I said or did to offend Miss Mu. She just, although I hesitated to speak, those who understand. Gu Fengzhou's face was extremely grim, his eyes cold and sharp, clearly enraged. If looks could kill, I think I would have died 1,000 times over, actually. I feel very unsure inside. After all, it's the first time I've confronted the female lead. After all, the one I'm accusing is the female lead. For someone in a high position like Gu Fengzhou, who has both wealth and power, he can indulge me however he wants when he's willing, but if he's not happy, crushing me would be as easy as crushing an ant. I looked at him timidly, finally revealing my genuine grievance. Mr. Gu Fengzhou strode forward and pulled me into his arms. Mu Yayan wanted to grab him to clear things up. Fengzhou, it's not like that, just now it was actually her, but Gu Fengzhou avoided her touch, paying no attention to Mu Yayan, who was still sitting on the ground, and just held me as he strode away without looking back. In the lounge, I sat quietly in the corner of the sofa, letting Gu Fengzhou tend to my wound. He showed no trace of tenderness, swiftly cleaning my wound with an iodine-soaked cotton swab. The sting of the antiseptic made me break out in a cold sweat, but I didn't dare make a sound. Gu Fengzhou raised an eyebrow and looked at me. Now you know it hurts. I cleverly detected the concern in his words and immediately started to squeeze out tears. I'm almost dying from the pain. Just die from the pain then. I leaned softly against Gu Fengzhou. Dear brother, please blow on it for me. Blow on it and it won't hurt anymore. Gu Fengzhou sneered, grabbed my wrist, and bit down fiercely on a spot without any wound. I was speechless. Is this person perhaps born in the year of the dog? Otherwise, why would they have the strange habit of marking territory like a puppy? Although the bite doesn't hurt, it left 2 rows of curved teeth marks, giving off an inexplicable sense of shame. Gu Fengzhou suddenly spoke up. She couldn't stand steady herself. Why did you have to play the Good Samaritan? I was speechless. Male lead. Right now I want to give you 4 words. Your eyes are as sharp as torches. Wait, is that how the story goes? Shouldn't you be scolding me for being jealous of the female lead and cursing me for being vicious? I misjudged the situation, failed to see people clearly, ended up hurting yourself. No allowance for next month. How cruel. That's $500,000. Oops, I accidentally said what I was thinking out loud. I was wrong, and I didn't mean to do it. I couldn't just stand by and watch her trip over nothing. After all, she is your high school classmate. Darling, dear brother, my sweet Fengzhou, please don't cut my allowance. Okay, not good. If I don't deduct your pay, you won't learn your lesson. Gu Fengzhou stared at me sharply. If you don't like me interacting with her, you can tell me directly. I'll accept it. There's no need for you to use such self-harming methods. I really didn't do it on purpose. Then how about deducting a little less? I'm already hurt, so it counts as punishment. Gu Fengzhou ignored me. He had social obligations at the party, and after sternly ordering me to stay in the lounge, he turned and left without hesitation, looking at my injured hand and thinking about the wages I had lost. I was overwhelmed with sorrow. Female lead, your return truly marks the beginning of my misery. However, the miserable heroine did not retreat because of the party experience. Instead, she pursued her goal with renewed determination, even striking directly at the heart of the matter. That day, Mu Yayan, under the pretense of visiting an old friend at her parents' request, confidently arrived at the Xiangshan Ludi villa where Gu Fengzhou and I lived. As soon as she arrived, she began touring the place with the air of a hostess. In no time, she spotted me, who was completely engrossed in a real-life version of Happy Farm. I have 2 major hobbies. One is making money, specifically making the male lead's money. Another is farming. I genuinely enjoy farming. The hobbies of the working people are so simple and sincere. After all, working in the fields certainly doesn't call for glamorous or elegant attire. Mu Yayan stood behind me, her tone icy. Using every inch of land on Egret Island for farming, you really are truly a country bumpkin who can't hold a respectable position, always managing to embarrass yourself no matter where you go. I didn't want to engage with her. A pampered young lady like her would never understand the happiness I feel watching the tomatoes, carrots, and cabbages I planted grow strong and healthy. Seeing that I remained silent, Mu Yayan ordered the attendants beside her, these are the flowers Feng Zhou gave me back then. If they were planted here, he would surely be delighted to see them every day. Go, plant these flowers. I quickly stepped in front of her. No, this is my place. Without my permission. You can't touch an inch of this land. Your place. Ha ha ha. Mu Yayan laughed with full mockery. Jiang Tang, after playing mother hen to some flowers for a few days, you really think you're a phoenix now? She glanced back and signaled. What are you waiting for? Dig out all the messy stuff in this plot of land. She had brought quite a few people with her, making it impossible for me to stop them. I could only argue with Mu Yayan, even if I have no right. This is Gu Fengzhou's place. Shouldn't you at least ask him? What do I mean to Fengzhou? Don't you know? I was suddenly speechless. But she's the female lead. I suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness, and my eyes instantly reddened. Mu Yayan rolled her eyes dramatically and said, I mean, you're just too fake. If you can act this well, why not go make a movie? What's all the noise so early in the morning? Gu Fengzhou suddenly appeared behind us. Mu Yayan's face flashed with a hint of panic, but she quickly regained her composure. Fengzhou, my father asked me to personally bring you some gifts and discuss the collaboration between our two families. Gu Fengzhou gave a slight nod to show his understanding, then stared straight at the side of my face. What's wrong? I didn't say anything, just rushed straight into his arms, burying my head in his chest. My grievances were so intense they were almost suffocating. Gu Fengzhou didn't say anything either, just gently patted my back, instructed someone to restore the garden to its original state, and had the butler lead Mu Yayan to the main hall to rest. Only then did he put his arm around me and leave. Is it that serious? You're usually so sharp-tongued with me. What's going on today? Getting this worked up over an outsider. An outsider, I accurately spotted the key point. My big, wet eyes fixed on him with a pitiful gaze. I'm not as pretty as she is. Nor is my family as wealthy as hers. Nor do I have as high an education as she does. In front of such an outstanding daughter of the Mu family, I would feel inferior too. Gu Fengzhou stared intently. Tang, I don't need to judge whether I'll like someone based on their beauty, family background, or education. I have only one criterion. What? He pressed my hand against his chest. My heart. Though I could feel his heart pounding beneath my palm, I felt as if my own heart had leaped into my throat. Perhaps it was because Gu Fengzhou's gaze was too sincere. Perhaps Gu Fengzhou's favoritism was too taken for granted, so much so that I felt a sudden surge of courage. Perhaps the plot wasn't something I couldn't resist after all. When Gu Fengzhou led me back to the main hall, Mu Yayan was sitting leisurely on the sofa, sipping tea. After all, she is a young lady of noble birth. Every move she makes exudes elegance and grace. She saw Gu Fengzhou smile gently, full of tenderness and beauty, without a trace of the harsh words and confrontations that marked her interactions with me. Fengzhou, just now while visiting your residence, I noticed something unusual. I'm not sure if I should mention it. Do you think you shouldn't mention it? So you won't? A bit happy, but trying hard not to laugh. However, Mu Yayan's perfection remained unbroken. She still smiled with ease. I was just admiring the painting in the entryway, and it turns out to be a fake, not just the painting, but also many porcelain vases and ornaments, antique porcelain vases. They're all high-quality imitations. Fengzhou, you are kind and tolerant, and with so many things to keep you busy, it's natural that you wouldn't notice these details. But you know, it's hard to judge a person by their appearance, and it's even harder to guard against a thief in your own home. I suddenly stiffened my back. This is aimed at me. Is it my fault for always thinking about making a quick profit before running away? I was just thinking about how to make that pose look more aesthetically pleasing in death when I heard Gu Fengzhou say nonchalantly, Miss Mu, I gave this house to Tang a long time ago. Naturally, all the furnishings, artifacts, and calligraphy and paintings inside are hers as well. So, how she chooses to handle them is entirely up to her. Maybe some silly little thing just prefers fakes. Gu Fengzhou looked at me teasingly. Right, I smiled awkwardly. Although I was grateful for Gu Fengzhou's support, there was really no need for that final jab at me. I hugged Gu Fengzhou softly and cooed, Fengzhou, why are you so good to me? I really love you so much. Gu Fengzhou curled his lips slightly at my adoring gaze. Miss Mu, I recall you came to deliver a gift. I've accepted it. And as for the matter of cooperation, I will personally visit the Mu group to discuss it. Do you have anything else? I have some personal matters to attend to. This was clearly a dismissal. The perfect composure on Mu Yayan's face finally shattered. She mumbled a few words in response and left awkwardly. Gu Fengzhou looked at me with a smile, a trace of helplessness flickering in his eyes. Just as I was thinking about how to escape, he bent down and swiftly hoisted me onto his shoulder. Then he carried me upstairs with ease and tossed me onto the bed. I scrambled to kneel on the bed, clasping my hands together and pleading, "Boss, President Gu, Your Excellency Gu, I can explain. Please begin your excuse." I was speechless. I just think the genuine article is not cost-effective at all. I prefer the counterfeit. Oh, and you said it yourself. Don't I have the right to dispose of it? Have I treated you poorly on a daily basis? Are those few measly things really worth your concern? A few peanuts. That's nearly over 5 million. Are we using different currency units? I pouted and complained. Didn't you just dock my allowance for next month? Oh, right. Gu Fengzhou laughed with a mix of frustration and disappointment. Then I'll just deduct the rest of your allowance for the entire year to make up the difference. I was thunderstruck. Capitalists are indeed bloodsuckers. The sky is falling, now. You shall face your punishment. I was heartbroken. Wasn't that punishment just now enough? My allowance, my life. I cried with genuine emotion. That was my salary. Gu Fengzhou looked at me with a smile, leisurely unbuttoning his clothes. That was compensation just now. But this is what you call punishment. I let out a yelp and tried to run away, but the quick-eyed hunter caught my ankle and I fell onto the bed. Then the man's heavy body pressed down on me oppressively. And all my excuses were swallowed by him. Gu Fengzhou kept finding new ways to torment me. I felt even the oxen in the fields couldn't plow as much as he could. By the end, I felt like my entire body had been broken into pieces. I couldn't help but sigh again. Female lead, you really are my nemesis. When I woke up this time, Gu Fengzhou was actually sitting beside me, looking at materials on his computer. This domineering CEO demonstrated with his actions that he could balance work and pleasure. I deliberately turned my back to him, silently mourning my lost pocket money. Gu Fengzhou chuckled, closed his laptop, and wrapped his arm around my waist. What, are you feeling wronged now? I don't dare. Tang Tang, do I make you feel so insecure? Half of my face was buried in the quilt, and I mumbled. I think money makes me feel more secure. Do you like money that much? That's really a good thing. I couldn't help but turn around to look at him. Gu Fengzhou's eyes were shimmering, yet they carried a captivating charm. It's good to like money. If you like me because of money, then I'm honored because I'm very wealthy. Although it was a teasing remark, I felt a hint of sadness. I held on to Gu Fengzhou's lean waist, secretly touching his abs while nuzzling my face against his chest muscles. Actually, it's not just his money that I like. I also like his body. As a malicious female supporting character, I must have a poor and tragic background to highlight the noble and kind nature of the female lead. I must endure all the cruelty and injustice to successfully turn dark and become an obstacle to the relationship between the male and female leads. And they will inevitably use my judgment to deepen their bond. Although I don't understand why the so-called elite need a woman from the bottom rung as a stepping stone, but I just want to say, do not judge others' kindness without experiencing their suffering. Had they gone through what I have, they might not have turned out as kind as I did. I survived under a father who was quick to hit and scold. I submitted and tried to please a mother who favored sons over daughters and often insulted me. I fought desperately to escape my suffocating family, only to face the harsh realities of society. I truly love money because I have genuinely experienced poverty. I shivered in a leaky rented room. I secretly ate leftover food from customers in restaurants. I even dug through trash bins late at night to save money. Mu Yayan sarcastically remarked about working as a hostess in a club, unaware that it was the best job I could find at the time. It was my means of survival, so when Gu Fengzhou asked if I wanted to be with him, I agreed without hesitation. Even though he was the male lead and the source of my future misfortune, I accepted it. After all, someone who struggles just to survive has no right to talk about dignity, but I am very grateful that I have always upheld my conscience and have not become someone I would despise. As an ambitious canary, I cannot retreat because of a temporary setback, as it goes against the canary's core work ethic of focusing on making money. So I persevered and worked hard to serve the boss. This is mainly reflected in flattering and pleasing the benefactor, and being completely obedient to the benefactor. Through my relentless efforts, I finally managed to win Gu Fengzhou's leniency, and my allowance was restored as usual. Although my waist paid a painful price, it was all well-deserved. That day, Gu Fengzhou took me to an auction, where I unexpectedly ran into Mu Yayan again. I immediately became more alert. After all, this female lead is a sweetheart to the readers, but to me, she's nothing but a jinx. At the auction, I tried to keep a low profile. Although I loved every single item up for auction, I had just been granted a pardon by my patron, so it was better to stay discreet. But even though I wanted to keep a low profile, someone just wouldn't let me off the hook. I had just come out of the restroom when I saw a group of people gathered together with solemn expressions, whispering among themselves. A woman standing next to Mu Yayan walked up to me. Her expression full of disdain. Jiang Tang, please return Yayan's jewelry to her. What did you say? I was utterly confused. What is this all about now? The woman spoke with righteous indignation. You were the only one in the restroom with Yayan just now. As soon as she came out, her jewelry was missing. Who else could it be but you? Whispers began to circulate around. Who is she? I heard she's the companion brought by President Gu. She used to work at the club. And President Gu took a liking to her because of her good looks. Mr. Gu is just having fun with her. A woman with no status or background like her is simply not fit for such occasions. Those lower-class people have sticky fingers. It's disgusting. How did someone like that get in here? It's a disgrace to this place. I was at a loss for words but still tried to explain. I didn't steal your things. Then can you let us check your bag? Of course not. What right do you have to violate my privacy? What evidence do you have? What? Feeling guilty because you have something to hide, the woman commanded the people around her forcefully, grab her bag. I couldn't fight off so many hands, and the bag fell to the ground during the struggle, revealing that gorgeous ruby necklace to everyone, framed. It must have been slipped in when I wasn't paying attention in the restroom just now. Although I knew these people were deliberately making things difficult for me, it was hard to prove my innocence. I opened my mouth, frantically searching for a solution, when suddenly a clear voice beside me spoke up. I'm sorry, I acted impulsively this time. Gu Fengzhou suddenly stood by my side and spoke, instantly capturing everyone's attention. During the auction just now, I noticed Tang Tang really liked this necklace, so I took it upon myself to get it. I originally intended to surprise her, but I never expected it would cause such a misunderstanding. Miss Mu, I apologize. I was actually planning to discuss buying this necklace from you at double the price, but I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Could you please sell the necklace to me? I really want it because my girlfriend loves it so much. Upon hearing this, Mu Yayan's expression instantly turned sour. She never expected Gu Fengzhou to go to such lengths just to defend me. I stared blankly at Gu Fengzhou, my eyes welling up with tears once again. No deceptive skills, no flattering acting, only genuine emotions. I felt my heart racing for this man once again. Gu Fengzhou stepped in to mediate, and the others couldn't press the issue further, especially since the value of this necklace was insignificant to everyone present. I didn't notice Mu Yayan's hateful gaze, only holding Gu Fengzhou tightly. A man's intimate whisper reached my ears. Next month's allowance. All deducted. I was speechless. Female lead, I'll perish with you. Gu Fengzhou's social engagement would still take some time, and I didn't want to be in the way at the venue, so I simply wandered off to the garden to catch some breeze. The fountain shimmered with a kaleidoscope of colors under the lights, its clear water reflecting the round coins that glittered in harmony with the illumination. I almost wanted to laugh. People toss coins to wish for happiness. Unaware that happiness can only be created by oneself, I muttered to myself, how much rice could this whole pool of coins buy? Even so, as if guided by some unseen force, I took out a coin and solemnly made a small wish. I was about to toss the coin into the water when I suddenly felt a strong push from behind. My whole body leaned forward and I fell into the fountain. Hitting my forehead on the concrete bench in the middle of the pool, blood instantly gushed out. The water wasn't deep, so I quickly stood up. I watched Mu Yayan fleeing in panic and silently curled the corner of my mouth. Heroine, you are no longer kind. Are you still worthy of him? By the time Gu Fengzhou came looking for me, I had already made it ashore with the help of the staff, shivering as I clutched a towel. He held me tightly in his arms and glared fiercely at Mu Yayan. Miss Mu, I'm well aware that you've repeatedly made things difficult for Tang Tang. I only kept quiet out of consideration for the business dealings between our families and our past school ties, leaving you with some dignity. But this time, you've really gone too far. If you deliberately target or even harm Tang Tang again, don't blame me for not caring about our past friendship. Gu Fengzhou held me and walked away without looking back. I looked at Mu Yayan behind me. Her eyes filled with deep resentment. She no longer seems to possess the beauty of our first encounter, and has grown increasingly unpleasant in appearance. I nestled in Gu Fengzhou's embrace, Miss Mu is only targeting me because she couldn't win your affection. That's no excuse for her to hurt you. Gu Fengzhou raised an eyebrow. I thought you would desperately accuse and seek revenge for every grievance. I smiled awkwardly and hugged him tightly. Because Gu Fengzhou chose me, I could become the one who is favored. If Gu Fengzhou had chosen Mu Yayan, then no matter how much injustice I suffered, it would only be my own fault. Perhaps Gu Fengzhou is beginning to break free from the script setting, but I clearly feel myself sinking deeper. I am no longer just a simple canary. I have committed a cardinal sin for a canary. I have actually developed feelings for my patron. During this time, I have been consciously or unconsciously restraining my heart, striving to strengthen my persona. When we were intimate, I didn't dare to look directly at Gu Fengzhou's overwhelming emotions, yet after it was over, I would coyly ask for money, gifts, and handbags. Gu Fengzhou held me tightly, both amused and exasperated. A few bags and gold bracelets have you so distracted. Is that all the ambition you have? With a wave of his hand, he cleared out my shopping cart. I stared at him dazedly. Oh no, what should I do? I'm even more infatuated now. That day, I had just walked out of the Hermes boutique carrying my snow house when I was suddenly kidnapped. Although a black cloth blocked my vision and a paper ball was stuffed into my mouth, I couldn't help but scream in my heart, "Female lead, when will you ever stop? Isn't this the bad thing I did in the original work? How did it become you? This plot isn't something we have to follow. Heavens, open your eyes and see, she's become so corrupted. How can she be the female lead, arriving at the destination?" It was indeed the dilapidated factory mentioned in the plot. The black cloth over my head was removed, and before my eyes could adjust to the light, two slaps sent stars dancing before my vision. What kind of trash are you, daring to compete with me? Mu Yayan looked down at me from above, her eyes filled with venom. You, a malicious supporting female character. How dare you steal the male lead who belongs to me and take everything that is rightfully mine? I am the true female lead of this world. Mu Yayan, still unsatisfied, slapped her a few more times to vent her anger. I was shocked, so she actually knew. As long as the plot returns to its course, Gu Fengzhou will still fall in love with me. What awaits you is nothing but a deserved fate of being tortured to death. She's gone mad. That was my first instinct. In the novel, I was the one who kidnapped Mu Yayan and hired a group of thugs to humiliate her. Fortunately, Gu Fengzhou arrived just in time to prevent the tragedy, but now, Gu Fengzhou is on a business trip in the United States. Her demonic voice echoed in my ear. Jiang Tang, no one is coming to save you. Your ending remains the same as before. Her long nails grazed my cheek. Jiang Tang, enjoy the gift I've prepared for you. But a woman like you, working in a place like this, is nothing but a jade pillow for 1,000 men. A pair of red lips tasted by 10,000. Don't worry, I've prepared some formidable ones for you. They'll make you feel ecstasy until you die. Villainous, get ready to face your ending. I looked at her in disbelief. Is this still the female lead? How could she turn so dark? But my hands and feet were tied, my mouth was gagged, and I had no way to voice my grievances. Mu Yayan calmly stood up and strode out with purpose. I was truly terrified. I didn't want to die. I've struggled for so long, gone through so much, and have been tenaciously surviving all this time. I can't just die like this. I observe my surroundings, thinking about how to save myself. I struggle to get up, trying to reach the rusty scrap metal nearby in an attempt to cut through the rope binding my wrists, when suddenly I hear the door being kicked open. Are they here? My heart leaped into my throat with fear, but I saw a tall figure running toward me against the light. The moment I recognized who it was, all the fear I had suppressed came rushing out. He took the cloth out of my mouth, untied the ropes from my hands and feet, and held me tightly. Gu Fengzhou's voice trembled with lingering fear. I'm sorry, Tang Tang, I'm late. The man was weathered all over, with exhaustion written all over his face. He must have rushed back upon hearing the news. I hugged him and burst into tears. Gu Fengzhou, why did it take you so long to get here? Gu Fengzhou, I was so scared. Gu Fengzhou, thank goodness you're here. I'm here now. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Tang Tang, I'm here. I'll always be by your side. Later, I found out that Gu Fengzhou had long noticed that Mu Yayan had been deliberately targeting me, fearing she might cause more trouble. He secretly had someone keep an eye on her before going abroad. When he learned that Mu Yayan had bribed a group of homeless people, he sensed something was wrong. While sending his trusted aides to protect me in secret, he rushed back from the United States. That's why Mu Yayan was arrested by the police as soon as she stepped out the door. If Gu Fengzhou had been delayed by some accident and couldn't return in time, his assistant would have saved me. I was deeply moved by the man's thoughtfulness, and these past few days, I've practically turned into a koala, clinging to him like a little tail. Wherever he goes, I follow, and whenever there's a chance, I hold him tight, although Gu Fengzhou was quite helpless. His face was filled with the sweet burden of it all. The aftermath of this incident was that Mu Yayan ended up in the police station, and her father personally stepped in to plead with Gu Fengzhou to be magnanimous and forgive her. Entangled interests and past affections, coupled with the fact that I suffered no substantial harm, led Gu Fengzhou to ultimately choose reconciliation. Of course, the Mu family also paid a considerable price. Mu Yayan was sent abroad. Her story ultimately came to a humiliating end. Before leaving, she made a scene, insisting on seeing Gu Fengzhou one last time, but he refused. I don't know how she got my contact information, but she harassed me in every possible way. She repeatedly emphasized that she was the female lead and that I, the villainess, had stolen everything that rightfully belonged to her. Of course, there were also all kinds of nasty insults and curses. I calmly blocked all her contact information, deleting those unbearable text messages one by one. She was no longer the female lead, just a deranged passerby, and I am the true protagonist of my own life. During this time, I have been extremely responsive to Gu Fengzhou, doing everything I could to satisfy his every need. Afterwards, the man held me with a satisfied look, affectionately kissing my lips. "You've been so well behaved lately." I gazed at him with a pitiful look and suddenly asked, "Gu Fengzhou, do you like me?" Gu Fengzhou's smile was somewhat bitter. "It seems I haven't tried hard enough to make you see my true feelings. I'm not very smart. Can you just tell me the answer directly? I like you." "No, I should say I love you, Jiang Tang. I love you." I couldn't help but tear up. "Why do you like me?" "I'm greedy, lustful, calculating, hypocritical. I'm a bad woman." Gu Fengzhou smiled and ruffled my hair. "Yeah, why is that?" "I can't really explain it either. I know all your flaws, but I just like you. Besides, someone who delivers late-night snacks to the cleaning lady, someone who cherishes the land, someone who strives to live earnestly. I always feel such a person can't be all that bad. Tang Tang, you're so resilient, vibrant, and radiant. Falling in love with you is only natural." He pulled a red velvet box from under the pillow, inside which lay a diamond ring as large as a pigeon's egg, and gazed at me with deep affection. "Tang Tang, will you marry me?" "No." "Why? This proposal is too casual." Gu Fengzhou was speechless. Flowers, cake, balloons, gowns, champagne towers, not a single thing can be missing. Gu Fengzhou smiled and nodded. "All right, the wedding dress has to be the most expensive one." "Okay." "The jewelry should be the largest." "Okay." "And the 3 gold items, they should weigh 3 jin." "Okay." And also, Gu Fengzhou, like an emotionless voice machine, replied with just one word, "Okay." "Gu Fengzhou, there's one more very important thing I haven't told you." "What?" "I love you." Perhaps, I had already fallen in love with Gu Fengzhou long ago. In his repeated acts of favoritism, his constant protection, and his endless indulgence, there is no fallacy that the male lead must fall in love with the female lead. True feelings will guide us to find our true love, whether he is the so-called protagonist or a supporting character. But I always believe that those who strive to live deserve their own happiness. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After transmigrating into the book, the system wants me to suppress the male lead. The original lines were, "Worthless, with your measly few thousand yuan salary. The fact that I'm still with you is the greatest favor you could ever receive. Other people's boyfriends drive luxury cars. What do you have? With you, I'll never have a good life in this lifetime, but when it comes out of my mouth, with just a few $1,000s a month, my brother can take such good care of me. If it were tens of thousands, what a lively and cheerful girl I would be. My brother treats his girlfriend so well. It's only a matter of time before he becomes successful. I'll definitely get to see that day." "Right." The system frantically reminds me, "Host, the goal is to pressure him to become stronger, not to act cute." I rolled my eyes. "Who said you have to put someone down to make them stronger?" I transmigrated into the role of the male lead's malicious ex-girlfriend in the book, forced by the system to follow the plot. My task is to constantly belittle the male lead. Once it reaches a certain point, I'll ruthlessly dump him. Heartbroken, The male lead began to strive with all his might and achieved great success in just 3 years. Later, the destined female lead appeared, slowly healing him with love. However, at this point, I began to regret my actions and desperately clung to the male lead, resorting to every possible means to break him and the female lead apart. In the end, the male lead fell into depression and took his own life at the age of 30. A qualified ex should be as good as dead. The system said that as long as I successfully complete the task, I will receive a reward of 5 million, and then help me change my name and send me to live in an unfamiliar city. At this moment, the male lead Lucas just finished delivering takeout, working 3 jobs a day to support his lazy and gluttonous girlfriend. The system urgently goes online. Host, begin the plot. Your line is, "You only earn a few dollars a day and come back so late. Are you trying to starve me to death?" That's right, I never lift a finger to do any housework, and I wait for Lucas to come back and cook for me every day. After Lucas entered the door, I delivered the line given by the system, only to see Lucas press his lips downward and somewhat innocently pull out a warm cup of milk tea from his coat pocket. "You drink first, I'll go cook." I cursed silently in my heart. Is this character setting just too vicious? Lucas was busy in the kitchen, stir-frying a plate of sour and spicy shredded potatoes and boiling some shrimp in plain water, probably because shrimp is too expensive. There were only 9 in the plate. Lucas peeled all the shrimp clean and pushed them in front of me, saying cautiously, "Eat up, the shrimp are really fresh today." My heart felt as if it had been fiercely tugged. Since I was little, no one had ever peeled shrimp for me. The system's untimely voice chimed in. "Your line is, that's all you're good for. Otherwise who would want you? Then eat all the shrimp." I thought for a moment and blurted out, "I want you so much." Of course good things should be shared, so I put 4 shrimp in his bowl. A hint of joy spread across Lucas's face, but then he picked the shrimp back up. "I like eating shredded potatoes, so don't give it to me, you should eat it while it's hot." My throat suddenly tightened as I remembered the days in the orphanage, when we could only have a good meal during holidays. Who would have thought that even after dying and transmigrating, I still wasn't given a chance to live a good life? At this moment, the system finally reacted. "Host, what are you doing? Deviating from the plot will result in punishment." "What punishment?" I retorted, "You only have 3 chances to make mistakes, otherwise you'll be electrocuted." "Oh, then remind me when it's the last chance." Every day before going to work, Lucas prepares breakfast in advance and keeps it warm in the pot, so I can eat it when I wake up. After asking the system, I found out that the original host usually wakes up at 11 a.m., and after eating, either plays games or goes shopping. Moreover, she demanded the best in food and clothing. Lucas's salary of 8,000 was often not enough for her, and with the added expenses of rent and utilities, he was forced to take on 2 part-time jobs. What's the difference between this and a parasite? The system coughed twice. "Host, you are now that parasite." I really want to curse. In the afternoon, following the system's prompts, I arrived at the busiest commercial street in town. I took a quick look around. Even a random piece of clothing here would cost at least 1,000 or 2. Oh well, it's not that I can't afford it, but second-hand stores offer better value for money. After wandering around for a while, I ended up buying 2 pairs of socks for Lucas. If I saw it correctly yesterday, his socks even had holes in them. At this point, the system told me to call Lucas and ask him to transfer money to me, but since Lucas hasn't received his salary yet and has no money left, he would end up getting a scolding from me. The system said, "Just say, if you can't even come up with this little money, what's the point of having a girlfriend?" But as soon as the call connected, I didn't follow the system's instructions. Instead, I said with a laugh, "I'm a scammer, send me money now." Lucas on the other end recognized my voice and replied with a hint of affection, "As you wish, my little scammer." I'm so touched. He's just too smooth. The system urgently chimed in. "Host, if you don't follow the plot, you're really going to cry." I can't help but retort, "Do you have to say such harsh words? The meaning is the same, and the goal is achieved. Isn't that enough? Our goal is to suppress the male lead. Only after you leave him will he climb step by step out of unwillingness. But isn't he working hard enough now? He works 3 jobs from dawn to dusk every day, and still takes care of me when he comes back. Could it be that he just hasn't encountered the opportunity meant for him yet?" Host, I advise you not to be too rebellious. Lucas eventually managed to scrape together $3,000 and personally delivered it to me. I was worried you might really be in trouble, so I specifically asked my boss for 2 hours off. I clutched the 3,000 yuan in my hand, feeling a pang of bitterness in my heart. Lucas currently works at a financial company, does online promotions in his spare time, and delivers food after work, even if you work hard at a side job. It would take more than half a month to earn 3,000 yuan, but in my hands, it might just be the cost of a single piece of clothing. Sensing that something was off with my mood, Lucas ruffled the hair on top of my head and asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Since we're already out, why not keep me company for a stroll?" I linked arms with Lucas while listening to the system outline the next plot. Later, you'll run into a university classmate whose boyfriend is a rich second-generation heir, driving a luxury car worth several million. After seeing this, you'll feel resentful and end up having a big argument with Lucas when you get back. Just as the system had said, it didn't take long before we ran into that classmate. She waved to us from her rich second-generation boyfriend's luxury car. "Isn't that Jenny? Are you still with Lucas? Can a poor guy like him even afford to keep you?" After saying that, she gave us a disdainful look. Furious, I snapped back, "None of your business. Mind your own." After hearing this, instead of getting angry, she laughed. "Oh, I was actually thinking that since we're classmates, I could introduce you to my boyfriend's brother, but it seems you don't need that now." Then she tossed out the words, "Serves you right for being poor," and rolled up the car window. After they left, I secretly observed Lucas's expression and only breathed a sigh of relief when I found nothing unusual. Just then, the system decided to stir up trouble again. "Host, you need to start getting angry," then say furiously, "Other people's boyfriends drive luxury cars. What do you have? I'll never live a good life with you." Then start giving Lucas the cold shoulder. Not only did I not get angry, but I deliberately changed the subject. "Lucas, how about you treat me to something delicious?" Lucas stared at me for a moment, a smile spreading across his face. "All right, let's treat ourselves to a good meal today." With that, he took me to a Western restaurant. Just by looking at the interior decor, I could tell it must be expensive. I tugged at Lucas's sleeve and whispered, "Let's just go for hot pot instead. We can come here when you get a raise." A flicker of guilt flashed in Lucas's eyes before he pulled me tightly into his embrace. "I'm sorry. It's my fault for not being capable enough. I made you hesitate even over a meal. Believe me, I will work hard to give you a good life." I forced a smile and said, "All right, I'll wait for you. You must do your best." As soon as I finished speaking, a crackling sound echoed in my mind. The system's countdown followed. Violation count exhausted. Punishment commencing. 32. Wasn't it supposed to remind me? Soon, a strong electric current surged through my body, and I instinctively cried out in pain. It hurts so much. Lucas had no idea what was happening to me, his face full of panic. "Jenny, what's wrong? Don't scare me." The punishment wasn't over yet, and I was in so much pain that I couldn't speak. All I could see was Lucas's terrifyingly red eyes. "I'll take you to the hospital. Don't be afraid. I'm here." I opened my mouth, wanting to tell him that I was fine, that the pain would pass, and that he shouldn't waste the money. Damn system. About 3 minutes later, the punishment was over. Lucas was holding me in his arms, trying to hail a taxi in the crowd, his bangs damp with sweat. I reached out and wiped his forehead with my sleeve. "Put me down. I'm fine now." Unexpectedly, Lucas suddenly became serious. "No, you must go to the hospital for a checkup. I'm really fine. See for yourself." As I spoke, I tried to break free from his embrace. Seeing that I still had some strength, Lucas finally believed me. He then carefully checked me from head to toe, and only after confirming I was unharmed did he feel relieved. That really scared me just now. If I'm not mistaken, going to the hospital might just invite another round of punishment. However, I think I know how to handle it now. On the way back, I used exhaustion as an excuse and didn't speak to Lucas. The system sent a hypocritical greeting. "Host, are you okay? I suggest you just follow the plot obediently. After all, you two will break up in 3 months, and you'll walk away with 5 million. Isn't that great?" These are things Lucas must go through. The more he suffers now, the stronger he'll become in the future, so there's no need for you to feel sorry for him. As long as you don't pester Lucas afterward, he'll live a happy life for the rest of his days. That's the reason for my existence. To be honest, I really don't want to go through that kind of punishment again, so I gave in. That night, guided by a systematic approach, I started nitpicking, using the excuse that the water in the bathroom wasn't hot enough. This water heater, which used to heat up to 75 degrees, now only reaches 45 degrees. Just like my love for you, growing colder and colder. "Lucas, from college until now, I've been with you for 5 years. You promised to give me the life I wanted, but all I did was wait year after year. You saw my classmate this afternoon. She's covered in designer brands from head to toe. I'm clearly prettier than her, but just because I chose you, my life has been a complete mess. Lucas, I'm really tired. I finished all my lines in one breath, and the system couldn't help but applaud for me. But Lucas stood like a statue at the bathroom door, staring at me without blinking. After a long while, he only uttered an apology. My heart stirred, and I added, but even so, I'm still willing to be with you, and I'll never regret it. As the words fell, Lucas's eyes, which seemed as if they would shatter at a touch, instantly lit up with a glimmer of starlight. His lips trembled, and the man, over 6 feet tall, immediately broke down in tears and hugged me. Jenny, I will work hard and never let down your sincere feelings. The system stammered a reminder. Host, this line wasn't in the original book. I know, I followed the plot you mentioned. Didn't miss a single line, but you never said I couldn't add words. This doesn't count as breaking the plot, right? The system was speechless. Next is a half-month Cold War. Don't worry, I'll follow through with it too. Afraid of being caught by the system for any mistakes, I didn't dare to make another sound. I just silently wiped away Lucas's tears. A kind word warms in winter, while a harsh one chills even in June. If Lucas weren't so kind-hearted, he could have easily called me materialistic, gold-digging, and lazy, but he never once complained about me, instead blaming all the problems on himself. This was probably one of the reasons he developed depression later on. Kind people would rather burden themselves than trouble others. After Lucas calmed down, he carefully kissed my forehead, then took the electric scooter key and went out. My heart felt sore and swollen. After some thought, I still picked up my phone and sent him a message. Be careful. Compared to growing up in an orphanage in my previous life, both Lucas and I now come from rural areas. After graduating from university, we both chose to stay in the big city to work hard, but we are all ordinary people. It's really not that easy to cross social classes. I don't even dare to imagine how much hardship Lucas endured in the following 3 years. Early in the morning, while I was still half asleep, I heard Lucas come back to pack his things. That's right. Yesterday he said he was going on a business trip for half a month, and now the timeline matches up perfectly. Before leaving, he stood by the bed and gazed at me for a long time, probably afraid of disturbing my sleep, and in the end, he didn't say a word, yet this gesture spoke louder than 1,000 words, especially after I got up and saw the breakfast and money left on the table. It's not that I'm selfish, but I really can't bear to let go of this kind of boyfriend. On the 5th day after Lucas went on a business trip, my former high school classmates organized a reunion. I was putting on makeup while the system kept chattering non-stop. Dress up nicely, you must outshine everyone tonight, because you would catch the eye of the school bully from high school. His family is in business and has a bit of money. Under his fierce pursuit, you wavered. After weighing the pros and cons, you broke up with Lucas. However, this classmate of yours isn't a good person either. He's been mooching off his parents, enjoys drinking, and becomes violent when drunk. In the 6 months you were with him, he hit you 4 times, and you finally couldn't take it anymore and ran away. But now, you don't need to date him, just use him to provoke Lucas. Once the goal is achieved, the mission is complete. After understanding the situation, I took a taxi to the party venue. To be honest, this kind of gathering is dull and boring. Mostly, it's just people with some achievements talking. After finishing the meal, I prepared to leave. Just as the system said, Charles offered to give me a ride. Seeing him drive out in a Mercedes worth 700,000 to 800,000, I finally understood how tempting this would be for an ordinary girl. In the car, Charles kept trying to make conversation with me. Jenny, you were the best-looking girl in our school back then, and it seems like nothing has changed even after all these years. I smiled awkwardly in response. I heard from classmates that your current boyfriend is just an ordinary worker. How could someone like that be worthy of a beauty like you? As for me, I run a bar myself. Let me know when you have some free time to come by and have some fun. Sure. I agreed without hesitation. After all, we were classmates. If I kept acting aloof, it would seem unnatural. Just then, an electric scooter suddenly darted out from the right. Charles jerked the steering wheel to the left, and my body immediately swayed uncontrollably toward him. After the car came to a stop, Charles reached out, pretending to check on me, but he was actually stroking the skin on my arm the whole time. I slapped his hand away irritably and said, I'm fine. It seems your driving skills aren't that great either. My place is just ahead. I'll get off here. Thanks for the ride. Without waiting for his response, I opened the car door. Charles hurriedly chased after me and asked, Jenny, do you really live in such an old house? I looked at him in surprise. Charles explained, what I mean is, if you're having any difficulties, you can ask me for help. I'd be more than happy to assist. I have to say, Charles is an expert at stealing someone's partner. First, he belittled my boyfriend to elevate himself, then created an ambiguous atmosphere when we were alone, and finally said things that left a lot to the imagination. With his good looks and the impression of being wealthy, not many young women could resist him. I didn't give him an answer. Instead, I waved goodbye to him. This kind of ambiguous relationship is the most intoxicating. Charles is no exception. Lucas is still on a business trip, sending greetings every morning and evening as if paying respects. I hardly ever reply. The system wants me to give him the cold shoulder, but I can't make it too obvious. After all, I'll be breaking up with him soon. 3 days later, Charles still couldn't resist asking me out first. I asked the system, should I go? What's the situation tonight? The system said, of course you should go. Lucas rushed back tonight intending to surprise you, but he happened to see Charles bringing you home, which created another rift between you two. In this situation, Lucas must be heartbroken. With an uneasy heart, I finished dinner with Charles, and we walked home together. This was my request. In the original story, I chose to walk because I wanted to spend more time with Charles. Not taking the car when it's available, in my opinion, is just plain foolish. Charles guessed my thoughts and tried to hold my hand several times along the way. Are you cold? Should I warm you up? According to the plot, I began my green tea speech. You're not my boyfriend. How can you hold my hand? It wouldn't be good if someone saw us. Charles suddenly became serious. Jenny, if you want, I can become your boyfriend right now. I'm definitely better than your current boyfriend. He has nothing to offer, and you'll only suffer if you stay with him. Under the dim streetlight, we stood quite close, and as Charles spoke, he grew more and more agitated, tightly gripping my hands, and all of this was seen by Lucas. He didn't step forward, just stood there quietly, motionless. A wave of guilt instantly washed over me. Charles finally noticed something was off and followed my gaze to Lucas in the distance. Who is he? I frowned and didn't answer. Is that your boyfriend? Do you need my help? No need, I can handle it myself. With mixed feelings, I approached Lucas and immediately noticed the birthday cake he was holding in his right hand. The system mentioned that today is my birthday, and that's exactly why Lucas rushed back in such a hurry. Why didn't you call first when you came back? I broke the silence first. Lucas lowered his gaze to me, a sarcastic expression appearing on his face for the first time. I wanted to surprise you, afraid you might cry alone on your birthday. I rushed back in a hurry, but it seems like you don't need me anymore. His eyes were cold, and it felt like a needle had pricked my heart. In the original story, at this moment, I was still too embarrassed to go too far because of my guilt. So I took the cake from his hand, opened it, and took a bite directly. How could I not need it? Only you remember my birthday. I'm really happy. Truly, unexpectedly, Lucas reached out and knocked the cake out of my hand, demanding, aren't you going to explain yourself? I looked up and shamelessly said, Lucas, you can't possibly stop me from running towards someone better, can you? I do love you, but how much is love really worth? I'm truly tired of being poor. You can't possibly not know that. I have to admit, I always know exactly how to break Lucas. I could see him visibly panicking. No, Jenny, don't leave me. Give me one more year. Believe me, I can definitely give you the life you want. But all of this is too vague. The more you say it, the more I feel like you're just making empty promises. Lucas suddenly reddened around the eyes, opened his mouth, but ultimately said nothing more. I glanced at the cake on the floor and sighed. What a shame, I didn't even get to taste it. After a moment's thought, I reached out my finger, dipped it into the clean cream, and put it in my mouth. Lucas grabbed my hand and said, don't eat that, I'll buy you a new one. Hearing this, I immediately broke into a smile. Really, if you hadn't knocked my cake over, I wouldn't have said those things to upset you. Lucas was slightly taken aback, then let out a bitter laugh. I really don't know what to do with you. The system silently agreed, and I'm no different. Lucas has been so busy lately that he barely has time to catch his breath, but our relationship has eased up a bit, but I know that these days are about to come to an end. Charles has been creeping in the shadows, his phone filled with the greasy sweet nothings he sent. I can't take it anymore, I'm going to block him. The system comforted, host. The time is almost up. That day, Charles invited Lucas and me to a casual party he organized under the guise of a classmate gathering, choosing the bar he owned as the venue. Lucas didn't want to go, but in the end, he couldn't resist my persistent nagging. If he didn't go, the plot wouldn't be able to proceed. After we arrived at the bar, Charles pretended to be very familiar with Lucas, offering him cigarettes and pouring him drinks. "Jenny, I'll borrow your boyfriend for a bit later," I instinctively asked. "What do you want?" Charles laughed. "Look how nervous you are. I won't eat him," but I knew that after they took Lucas away, they would humiliate him to the extreme, making him unable to hold his head up in front of everyone. Being poor seems to be an original sin, even if you've done nothing wrong. Lucas came back, and his mood was already off. He grabbed my hand and said, "Come back with me right now," but he didn't mention anything else. Yet I clearly saw that his collar was stained with quite a bit of alcohol. However, what must have chilled him the most was my refusal to go back with him. "Lucas, I've realized that we're becoming less and less alike. So many of Charles's friends were here tonight, all wealthier than you, yet you didn't even think about networking. You just wanted to go home. With someone like you, how can I expect any success? Lucas, let's break up." Lucas laughed after hearing it, but his smile was uglier than a cry. "I suppose you've been wanting to say this for a long time, haven't you? It must have been hard for you to hold it in until now. I understand. It's my fault. From now on, take good care of yourself." Lucas has left. Watching his lonely retreating figure, my eyes welled up with tears. Immediately after, the system's notification of task completion sounded. "Host, shall we leave now?" "No, wait a little longer." Just then, Charles walked toward me with a smug look on his face. Without a word, I grabbed a nearby wine bottle and smashed it over his head. Damn it, I'd been holding back for too long. Amid the chaos, I took the chance to run out. Haha, that's a relief. After holding it in for so long, I finally got to vent that frustration. Now I can properly plan out the rest of my life. The system asked me, "Host, have you decided which city to go to?" I thought it over and finally said, "Let's go to City G, somewhere far away." Just like that, with the system's arrangement, I received 5 million plus a new identity. After everything was settled, the system came to say goodbye to me. "Host, I'm off to carry out a new mission. Take care." Leaving so soon, it's just the way it is, being a worker controlled by the boss. Words can't express the sorrow. "Host, that's it, farewell. And I wish you a pleasant life," I said with my mouth. "I will miss you, but in my heart, I hope we never meet again." I stayed in City G for a whole year, and only after confirming that the system had truly left did I dare pack my bags and return to the city where Lucas was. I couldn't even bear to part with 5 million, let alone Lucas, who would be worth hundreds of millions in the future. It's probably hard to find such a great boyfriend, right? It's not that I'm going back on my word. It's just that the temptation is too great. In my previous life, I worked myself to death for just 1,000 yuan in overtime pay. I was terrified of being poor and knew how valuable money was. Another reason is that I felt guilty towards Lucas. No matter how you look at it, those hurtful words did come out of my mouth. If Lucas is still willing, I want to do something for him. Isn't it just about healing? It takes the one who tied the bell to untie it. I suppose no one is more suitable than me. Right, without the system as a cheat, it took me a full 2.5 weeks to find Lucas, but I only dared to watch from afar. He seemed thinner, and there was a touch more maturity and steadiness between his brows. Now, he has his own career, yet he still works from dawn to dusk every day. I secretly followed him for a few days but never mustered the courage to approach him. I can't figure out when I became so timid, but at that moment, I didn't notice at all that while I was following Lucas, someone else was also watching me. Just as Lucas stepped out of the company's entrance, someone grabbed the back of my neck. I knew I wasn't mistaken. "It really is you." "Oh no. That voice, it's Charles." "Jenny, long time no see." A malicious laugh came from behind. I turned my head and glared at him, scolding angrily. "Let me go, now." Charles not only didn't let go of me, but also used his other hand to firmly restrain me. "Jenny, you're not only beautiful but also think too highly of yourself. You should have known there would be consequences when you dared to hit me." "Charles, you bastard, if you have the guts, don't resort to sneak attacks." I was so angry I could grind my teeth, but there was nothing I could do to him. However, at that moment, a clear, cold voice rang out, "Let her go." I couldn't believe my ears and turned to look in the direction of the voice. It was actually Lucas. Didn't he just leave? Charles sneered upon hearing this. "Let her go. I've been searching for her for a whole year. Today, I'm here for revenge. Lucas pursed his lips, his brows tightly furrowed. If you don't let go now, don't blame me for being impolite. A flash of ferocity crossed Lucas's eyes, especially when he saw Charles's hand gripping my neck. The ferocity intensified. Today, this is my turf. You won't get any advantage here. Charles seemed to think of something and reluctantly let go of me in the end. All right, I admit I underestimated you a year ago. But, he pointed at me and continued, this scar over 10 centimeters long on my head is thanks to her. I definitely won't let her off. After all the calculations, how could I have forgotten about Charles? Sigh, if only I had known, I wouldn't have come back. Before leaving, Charles didn't forget to whisper in my ear, you got lucky today, but you might not be so fortunate next time. Defiantly, I gave him the middle finger. At worst, I'll just hire 2 bodyguards when I get back. I'm not short of money now. After Charles left, the surroundings fell silent. For a moment, neither Lucas nor I spoke. I couldn't help but sneak a glance at him, but when he glanced over, I felt too guilty to look up. Speak up, why are you following me? He asked. So I had been discovered long ago. With everything on the line, I put on a bright smile and shamelessly said, brother, you look a lot like my boyfriend who went missing. How about we get to know each other again? After saying that, I wished I could find a crack in the ground to crawl into, but when I looked up, I realized everyone had already walked far away. Wait, did Lucas even hear me? Unwilling to give up, I quickly hurried after them. Lucas, wait for me, you heard it too. Charles might come for revenge at any moment. I'm scared. As soon as the words were spoken, Lucas suddenly stopped in his tracks, unable to break in time. I crashed right into his sturdy back. Ouch, I groaned in pain, holding my nose as tears welled up in my eyes. Lucas, if you really didn't care about me, you wouldn't have stepped in just now. You know, I rely on you the most. Lucas turned around and sneered. You're overthinking it. I just didn't want to damage my company's image. Besides, I don't go back to my exes. In an instant, my heart ached to the extreme. He must hate me. A year is enough to change a person, not only me, but also Lucas. I let out a heavy sigh and said, so I've got the wrong person. Still, I want to apologize and thank you. I wish you all the best. Since Lucas wasn't interested, I couldn't shamelessly keep bothering him. I understand everything now. Goodbye. But just as I turned around, someone hugged me from behind. Lucas was trembling slightly, yet his arm around my waist was so tight. He buried his face in the crook of my neck, whimpering softly, giving up just like that. You know I'm soft-hearted. Couldn't you have tried a little harder to coax me? You left without a word back then. And now you want me to make the first move. You always know just how to get to me. I could no longer hold back my tears, my heart aching and swelling with emotion. Lucas, I love you. I turned around, stood on my tiptoes, hooked my arms around his neck, and kissed him directly. Is that proactive enough? In the car, a hint of embarrassment flashed across Lucas's face. Sorry, it's been a year, and I still can't afford to buy a house. But don't worry. Everything is moving in a positive direction. I smiled triumphantly. You treat your girlfriend so well. Success is just a matter of time. I'm sure I'll see that day come. Lucas, I like hearing that. Say more. Then I started showering him with flattery. Brother is the most charming, gentle, and considerate man in the world. Most importantly, he is devoted, loving only me and treating only me well. No matter where I go, I only think of brother. This left Lucas utterly flattered and disoriented. But why do I feel like I'm emotionally manipulating him? But does it really matter? He's genuinely happy. After all, Lucas works in e-commerce and just happened to catch the wave of live streaming sales. So in just 1 year, the company grew from a handful of people to over 100 employees. The next 2 years would be the time for him to truly showcase his abilities. I don't want to be a woman who only relies on a man. Keeping Lucas happy is one thing, but to be consistently respected, I must have skills that stand out. Since I know Lucas's company will only get better and better, this is the opportunity one need to seize right now. I'll create a few products myself. And there's no need to worry about sales. Only when money is in your own hands can you feel secure. When I proposed this idea to Lucas, he showed admiration in his eyes for the first time. You should know, I used to only know how to eat, drink, and have fun. Just do your best. I don't want you to overwork yourself. If you need anything, just let me know. I gave him a peck on the cheek and said, I'm just bored and wanted to try doing something on my own. Don't laugh at me if I don't do it well. Lucas affectionately booped my nose and said with a smile, I see how hard you're trying. and that's already amazing. I felt all warm and fuzzy inside. It's true, no one is immune to flattery, everyone loves to hear kind words. Once I got busy, I forgot about that guy Charles again. This time, he had someone directly tie me up and bring me to his bar. It's no wonder he's holding a grudge, after all. He's always relied on his family's advantages and has never been treated like this since he was young. However, I've already thought of a way to deal with him. Charles picked up the wine from the table and poured it directly over my head. Answer the question. Are you dumb? The cold liquid trickled down from the top of my head, leaving me utterly disheveled. I raised my tightly bound hands and said, "No one asks questions like this." Charles laughed. "Did you really think I invited you here for a drink? Choose your own way to die, die." My expression suddenly turned sorrowful, and my eyes gradually filled with tears, on the verge of falling. "Charles, you know I've actually died once before. In my past life, I was with you for half a year, but every time you got drunk, you would hit me. Finally, one time, you went too far and beat me to death. The day you threw that wild party was the very moment I was reborn. So I just couldn't hold back. I didn't want to say it, but you kept pushing me." As I spoke, my shoulders trembled, and I cried with such sorrow and pitifulness. Charles looked at me as if I were a fool. "Do you really think I'd believe your nonsense?" I began to calmly list his habits one by one. "You like keeping fish. There's a fish tank placed in the southern part of your house. The drawer of your desk is filled with pills. And so far, you've had 6 girlfriends. Shut up." Charles snapped angrily, cutting me off. In the room, besides Charles and me, there were also a few of his brothers. I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. Fortunately, the system was talkative and told me many of the plot details from the original story. At this point, Charles probably believed it. He asked everyone else to leave first, then helped untie the ropes for me. "So, this is why you chose to stay with Lucas, isn't it?" "Exactly. I'm afraid after having died once." Charles fell silent. As I stepped out of the bar, I happened to run into Lucas, who was rushing over in a hurry. He pulled me aside and looked me over, asking, "Are you okay? Did he hit you?" "I'm fine, perfectly fine." As soon as I finished speaking, I was pulled into a warm embrace. "I'm sorry. I came too late." "It's not too late. Some things, I have to resolve on my own. Let's go home." Lucas suddenly smiled mysteriously. "I'll take you somewhere." I thought he was planning something romantic again. But it turned out he bought me an apartment. Standing before the floor-to-ceiling window, Lucas hugged me from behind and couldn't help but sigh. "Among the countless lights of the city, one finally belongs to us. However, can you explain why your name has changed to Jenny?" "Oh no, I hadn't even thought of that." Lucas stared at me sharply. "If I weren't familiar with this body of yours, I would really think you were someone else." I didn't explain, and Lucas didn't press further. Does any of this really matter? Those who truly love each other must have compatible souls and aligned values. 2 years later, we had everything we once longed for: luxury cars, mansions, and all kinds of luxury items. Lucas wants to get married. Actually, he has brought this up many times, but I always brushed it off. There is, of course, a reason for it. That day, as usual, I brought lunch to Lucas. The year I was away, he never had a proper meal and ended up developing a stomach condition. So his diet had to be kept light. The housekeeper would prepare meals every day, and I would personally deliver them to Lucas and make sure he finished eating. However, today, it seems I came at the wrong time. As soon as I arrived at the company entrance, I saw Lucas hurriedly getting into a car while holding a girl. Even though I had my suspicions, I still chose to follow him. Lucas went to the hospital. The girl didn't seem to be doing well, with several doctors gathered around to examine her. When I learned her name was Lucy, the car keys in my hand instantly fell to the ground. The female lead has finally appeared. Seeing Lucas so nervous, I feel terrible inside. I tell myself not to be jealous. Lucas is the male lead, and the one who will ultimately walk by his side must be the female lead. These past 2 years were like borrowed time, and now, it's time to return them to someone else. I waited for Lucas all night, but he didn't come back. It seems he has made his choice. The female lead's halo is just too powerful. Just one injury was enough to make Lucas abandon me. I packed a few things casually, planning to leave. Now, the savings I have are more than enough to support me for a lifetime. After thinking it over, I still left him a note on the desk. However, an hour later, Lucas carried me out of the airport. He threw me into the car with an angry look on his face. Not only did I not sleep all night, but my wife ran away as soon as I got back. Explain what this means. Then, They handed me a note, the very one I had left in the morning. It read, "I'm leaving. I hope you find happiness. You're leaving. So how am I supposed to find happiness, Lucy? You're not at the hospital with her. You want to be with her. And if I stay, it will make things difficult for you. So I choose to leave." Lucas listened, smiled, then shook his head, glanced at me, and continued shaking his head. "Is this guy crazy? What's wrong with you?" Lucas tapped me on the head. "I really don't know what you're thinking. Lucy is my client's wife. She came to deliver a contract yesterday, but unexpectedly felt unwell and fainted. In a hurry, I had to take her to the hospital. Who would have thought that the checkup revealed she was pregnant? Coincidentally, my client was on a business trip out of town, and there was no one else at home, so he asked me to look after her. Naturally, I couldn't just leave. So I helped buy some food and necessities, which took some time. If you don't believe me, you can ask the nurses and doctors at the hospital. Then why didn't you let me take care of her? You didn't even give me an explanation." I pressed anxiously. Lucas had a look of seeing through everything. "You're jealous, aren't you?" I didn't explain because I left my phone at the office. "As for why I didn't let you take care of her, I did have my own selfish reasons." This made me furious. "Just admit you have a thing for her." But before I could finish my sentence, my mouth was suddenly covered. For a moment, my brain just stopped working. After kissing me until I was dizzy, Lucas finally let go of me with a mischievous smile. "If you keep talking nonsense, I'll kiss you again, this time." I behaved myself and sat there without saying a word. Lucas turned my shoulders to face him. "Jenny, I also want you to have a child with me." But that day when I saw Lucy constantly vomiting and seeming so uncomfortable, I started to hesitate. "I didn't want you to see it because I was afraid you'd be scared of childbirth. But now I've come to realize, I only want you. Having a child or not doesn't matter. Please don't be angry anymore, okay?" I threw myself into his arms, took a deep breath, and the crisp scent of mint filled my senses. In a place where he couldn't see, I couldn't help but let a smile curl at the corners of my mouth. "Isn't this just perfect? Lucas, I love you so much, but I feel like I've never heard you say you love me." Lucas was slightly taken aback. "Haven't I said it? I hope it's not too late now." "Jenny, I love you. Say it once every day from now on." Lucas's perspective, Jenny seems to have suddenly become a different person. But that's not entirely accurate. She wasn't really like that before either. We started dating during our college years. At first, Jenny was full of hope for the future and never spoke harshly to anyone. But after graduation, she realized that society has its hierarchies. The wealthy are always held in high regard, no matter where they go. She began to complain about the unfairness of fate and resented my lack of ability. During those 2 years, she constantly belittled and criticized me, making it so painful that I often couldn't sleep. I have thought about breaking up, even feeling that all I have left for her is a sense of responsibility. But I also want to prove myself to her, to show that with enough effort, life doesn't have to stay the same. That day when I got home, I noticed Jenny seemed a little different than usual. She suddenly became warm and friendly toward me, and even shared the shrimp she usually keeps all to herself with me. The next day, she surprisingly bought me 2 pairs of socks, clutching the $3,000 I gave her. Unable to bring herself to spend it, when her classmates mocked me, she even stood up for me. I thought Jenny had come to her senses, but it turned out I was overthinking it. As soon as we got back, she started mocking me relentlessly, but I also noticed that this time when she said those harsh words, there was a hint of reluctance and helplessness in her eyes. In the end, she still managed to justify herself. I told myself that, at the very least, she was changing. During that time, I slept more soundly than before, but it seems like fate is playing tricks on me. Just as I tasted a bit of sweetness, I was cut to pieces again. She told me not to stop her from running towards someone better. It's definitely painful, but when I saw her eating the cake off the floor, my heart softened again. I think I'm destined to be ruined by her in this lifetime. That day at the bar, Charles stepped on me and said I couldn't make Jenny happy. I really wanted to say, I can. But Jenny was right too. What good is my confidence when everything feels so uncertain? Promises made too often are just empty words. Jenny still brought up the breakup. As expected, my heart aches so much I can hardly breathe, yet I still wish her happiness. I heard about Charles getting hurt, a mix of shock and a hint of delight, mostly because Jenny didn't end up with Charles. But then I realized how ridiculous I was being. We've already broken up, even if she's not with Charles. She'll be with someone else. Now, the last bit of happiness is gone. I started working frantically, often forgetting to even eat. but whenever the night grew quiet and still, that face would appear in my mind. I must be sick. I don't know if it was because I missed her too much, but that day I actually saw her following behind me, for several days in a row. I finally confirmed that this was real. She seems to be doing quite well. Her complexion looks better than when she was with me. Charles was right. I really couldn't give her happiness. I don't know what she's up to, and I really want to rush over and ask her myself, but in the end, I held back. It would make it seem like I still can't forget her, which would be so embarrassing, but when Charles bullied her right in front of me, I couldn't hold back any longer. Screw face and dignity. It turns out that one must have some skills to speak with confidence. Charles was scared off by me, and Jenny clumsily flirted with me. I really wanted to hug her tightly and kiss her passionately, but I don't know what happened. Even though I was dying to do it inside, I appeared unusually cold on the surface. Jenny noticed it and said sorry and thank you to me. What nonsense. Seeing that she was about to leave, I suddenly panicked. I just hugged her. After returning, Jenny seemed like a different person, very much like the one who put shrimp in my bowl that day, saying good things should be shared. Until I bought her a house and saw that the name on her ID had changed to Jenny. What on earth happened this year? I had many questions in my heart, but when I asked her for an explanation, Jenny just smiled. At that moment, I suddenly understood. As long as it's the person I want, why overthink it? When she talked about Lucy, I became even more certain of some thoughts in my mind. She probably knows more than I do, but I also kept something hidden. Actually, I had already met Lucy a year ago. She has been very helpful to me, and she's a good person who seems to have a liking for me. But no matter how great she is, what does it have to do with me? I already have Jenny, and I don't want anyone else, no matter how good they are. So I introduced Lucy to my biggest client, and unexpectedly, they hit it off right away. In just 1 year, she got married and pregnant. I'm so envious. I should also urge Jenny more. At least to get married. Don't run away again. Where would I go to find her? After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.